Good afternoon. Here I am again. Excuse me, get my hair right. It is pouring rain. We've had thunderstorms and lightning and all that kind of thing today where I live in the Macedon Ranges. Beautiful, beautiful weather for this time of the year. Before I start talking about hypermobility, which is going to be our consideration at least for a number of these videos, probably about 8 of them, I thought I'd introduce you to a painting that I have just finished doing. I don't know that it's finished, but I'm taking a rest from it. It's on board, and it's for the next exhibition that I'm having in February, so I thought you might like to see it. It's on board. It's quite a small one, and I'm moving it around because it's all done with very beautiful inks that glow, and they're called interference colours, and they're quite lovely to use. And that, of course, is a seated Buddha, and unusually he has his back to us. Anyway, I will talk to you about hypermobility. Now, over the last week, since I've had this YouTube channel, there has been a great opportunity for a lot of you to contact me who have never even thought of hypermobility ever before, and say, what is it? And yoga teachers who are saying this to me, meditation teachers in the area that I work in, who've never thought, never explored hypermobility, don't know what it is, and certainly have got no idea about collagen except it occurs in beauty products. I didn't know terribly much about it either, even though I have identified myself as a hypermobile person. Hypermobility has nothing really to do, well, the hypermobility we're talking about is not about somebody who is very flexible. That is only a flag. That is only a way to say, aha, this person is probably hypermobile and has a lot of the other symptoms and syndromes that go along with it, and are caused by a collagen malformation genetically. Now, I'm not a scientist and I'm not a medical person per se. I'm a yoga teacher, and I came to this understanding quite late, actually. I've only been working in it in a number of years. When I did my doctorate, I tripped across it. And at the time I was working in a rehabilitation establishment dealing with people with addictions and traumas, and I had been doing that for about 10 years. I had noticed that a large percentage of the classes were made up of people who were hypermobile in some way or other. They either had knees that easily dislocated, shoulders that dislocated, their arms looked like they'd been put on back to front, their knees were hyperflexed or flexed in odd ways, their pelvises were uncontrolled, bow legs and all those kind of things were very evident. Anxiety, depression, that was very evident. Learning disabilities. And you know, these people have been treated for all these things one by one, and some of them had 6 different therapists working with them at any one time, and none of the therapists spoke to each other, and none of them worked to a plan. It was all about the single symptoms, not about, oh yes, let us work from this point. Consequently, the students that I met had got really depressed and really anxious, and discovered that only drugs that they either self-prescribed or addictive drugs help them to get out of this problem. People like drugs because they work. People like cocaine and marijuana because they work. But they only work up to a point. They work the first time, and they work less the next time, and they work less the next time, and so on until the social disadvantages way outpace what they're trying to achieve. So anyway, so I started looking at this from a different point of view, and I said, okay, let us presume that these people have joint hypermobility syndrome, and that after I'd done some research, I could see that all these different symptoms were due to a collagen problem. Collagen occurs right through the body. It is a protein. Somebody said to me it's like the glue in the cells. It holds everything together. The glue in the joints. It stops things from slipping out and dropping. And people who don't have adequate collagen formation, that they're in a bad place. And I see more and more and more children coming forward with this. Now, I don't know what is causing the increase, but there definitely is one. It's not just because I'm noticing it, it's just because there are more. One of my English teachers said that there was an epidemic. I wouldn't like to call it was an epidemic, but there certainly is an increase. Now, when you have this problem and you come into a yoga class where the teacher doesn't understand the problem, it is very difficult. You know, yoga teachers often take on things that they're not qualified for, or they don't get the research that they should. I've just marked a paper about somebody who was writing about blindness and yoga, but they didn't talk to somebody who was blind. You know, if you want to find out about hypermobility, first off, start looking around and start discussing things with your students or friends who are hypermobile and ask them about it. For myself, because I was born a long while ago and in a very, very small town, we didn't have yoga studios. Well, I didn't even know about yoga. Nobody talked about it, obviously. We didn't have emails or computers or Google. We just had books. And the movies, of course. No one was doing yoga in the movies, I can tell you. Anyway, so I was doing ballet because I love moving, and I've moved in a yogic way since a very young age, done exercises and asanas. But I moved into ballet because that was the only way I could go to get movement. And I didn't succeed terribly well in ballet from many points of view, and they tossed me out when I was 14 because they said I had lazy ankles and my knees weren't stable and my hips were not very good. And that was true, and that's true of hypermobile people. At the same time, I was suffering irritable bowel syndrome, which made things difficult. There was a number of things that were difficult for me. When I started doing yoga, that solved a lot of problems, but it didn't solve the internal ones. But I have gradually, by trial and error, solved them. And the way that I solved them turns out to be what is being prescribed for people who are hypermobile. You know, making sure that you've got lots of vitamin C and zinc and magnesium, all those things that people don't really pay attention to. We will be paying attention to all those in the course. Now, how it works is on Etsy, www.myyogabooks.etsy.com, I have a course there called Hypermobility the Course. There is just a booklet, but there's also Hypermobility the Course, which is the one that you would be looking for. And we will go on through the course module by module by module, so that you will be looking at your module and listening to me, and then you can go off and do the work. So I hope that this will be another way of learning. It'll be a fantastic way to do a elective in my course if that's what you want to do. And it will be a great skill for you in teaching yoga or anything in the fitness realm. This is not just a casual flirtation with a new subject. This is a really, really interesting and powerful thing to know in your yoga or meditation life. And once you see it, you will really, really change the way that you teach. So I hope that you go on and take this very seriously. Start looking around at people who, those funny elbows that look like they've been put on back to front. It really does make a difference. You can't teach the same way to people who are severely hypermobile. And people who are just gently hypermobile, it's all about stability and integrity. Pulling the joints back instead of pushing them out. It will make a big difference to the way you teach, and it certainly will make a huge difference to your students who are suffering with this ignored or misunderstood syndrome. Namaste.